Hey everyone, and welcome to Salt. We're going to be fast today because Aspen and Hadassah are making tiramisu or something of that effect, and they have to, I don't know, I think they have to still use the mixer or something, so they're waiting on us to finish before they finish making their tiramisu, which isn't really tiramisu, I'm told, but it's like tiramisu, but I don't know, they're making something. And it has ladyfinger cookies and
Which smell like pancakes, apparently, when you bake them.
oh, I guess. And yeah, so we want to hurry up so their stuff doesn't, get sit too long so they can finish their dessert. They are baking away. Although yesterday Miranda was the one baking away, where she made dessert for 100 people, of which only 30 showed up.
It felt like it. Fortunately, we were able to give all of it away. It was great. The last 2 pans of brownies this morning went with Hadassah's parents to potluck at their church.
Yep.
And
We made 4 pans of brownies. We had
Five.
5 pans of brownies, 3 dump cakes,
4 dump cakes.
four dump cakes, peach dump cakes, which were very popular, and yeah, and then I think because the comm department supplied all the dessert, and then our other comm person brought a plate of cookies from Costco or Walmart or something. But we all day long Miranda made brownies and dump cake.
It's true. Like, literally, we went to the store about 10, and by the time I got home, and just started making this stuff, it took till right when we walked out the door, about 4:30ish.
So yeah, that was fun. It was departmental vespers, so for the usually business department and comm department do our vespers together, but the art department had a speaker coming in, and they invited there's like 6 or 7 departments all together, and we all kind of combined together and did a dinner and program for the students. But as seems to happen, not a whole lot of students show up when we do these things. I don't know why, but yeah, it's just not a big deal anymore. I don't know what their students or where they go, but
Yeah, honestly, most of the what's the room that they had the program in?
Wharton Mavy Center, yeah.
Yeah, the Navy Center, where the theater was. Yeah, actually it was pretty full in there. I was surprised.
There's more faculty at least coming through line than students. Staff, a lot of staff showed up.
Yeah, for as many people as it felt like came through line to eat,
Yeah.
it felt like there was more that just filled the auditorium.
Yeah. Anyway, lots of baking went on this week, but
It did. Yes.
we had some excitement. Was it earlier this week?
Yeah, I think that happened on Monday.
Monday. So Monday, it was interesting because we live in Keene. We live like right next to the fire department and the police department. They're all right there together. So there's pretty much the Pachero building, the comm department, and then right across the street from that is the police and fire department. And then right behind that is our little space where our house is at. And so there's always sirens going. Whenever there's, a police call, the fire department, off go the sirens, right? So there's sirens all the time. But usually, you hear them, and they start up, and then they fade off as they go into the distance, because this is Keene, and nothing ever happens in Keene. However, Monday, there was a siren, and you just, okay, sirens, and then there was more sirens, and then even more sirens, and then it didn't seem like they were going away.
It seemed like a whole choir of sirens.
Coming,
this
yeah.
siren and that siren and all this whole blend
Bunch of different
sirens. Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of went away and then started coming back. And so I was like, well, man, something's going on. And, occasionally there's like, I guess something at the university. And so I was just thinking, well, somebody, had an accident or somebody has a medical something going on at the university. But then Miranda came out of her room and said cop cars had just driven straight across the grass where the radio station is just behind us.
Yeah, and yeah, there they were in the back window, just driving right across the empty lot.
Yeah, because the road kind of comes up, and there's a big grassy lot in the radio station, and you expect them to come down the road and up the road and down the road, but no, they went right through the grassy and came through the radio station. I'm like, all right, something's going on, and so I actually went outside to see what was going on. And when I went outside, there was nothing right here. We have a little cul-de-sac kind of thing.
First of all, you had seen someone run past.
So nothing was going on because I didn't look to the right and left, and there was everything, And then as I walked to the left in our little cul-de-sac, from our backyard, which really isn't a backyard. It's a fenced-in little strip of grass, I guess. This person came running through our fence, came running outside the fence. And it's like somebody just ran through our backyard and, across the little cul-de-sac drive and out the other side. And I was like, all right, that's odd. So I came back in. I told Miranda and asked, I was like, get in the room, close the blinds, because to me, I think, all right, that must be somebody they're chasing. So sure enough, all of a sudden, a swarm of police officers came driving in and came into the cul-de-sac. And so I went back outside and I said, are you guys looking for someone? Which, now that I think about it, is my very southern way of dealing with things. Instead of like, oh man, we hit it down, I just went outside. Hey, you boys looking for someone? They're like, yes. And I was like, so they went that way, and I said they ran across, and they're like, oh, did they go through the fence or between the fence? And they went between the fence, and I just, like, I was given directions down to the nearest gas station, now that I think about it. And so they took off, right? And I was just standing there thinking, like, I wonder where this is going. And I thought that was it. That was the end of it, because they took off after them. And I'm sure whoever they were chasing was, probably down to the church by now. So then this other police officer came over the fence at the end of our cul-de-sac. He came climbing over the fence and was kind of off by himself, and he was looking around. And I just happened to be where I was standing in the front of our house. I could see up on the roofs of the houses across the street from us. And he couldn't, and they couldn't because they were too close to the... And so I happened to see the person was up on the roof. And so, I don't know, even then I wasn't like, oh, he's on the roof, he's on the roof, I just like started waving down to the police officer, and he's like, what? And I said, man, up there. And I just pointed up, and so he pointed up. And then they got real intense. I was just like, hey, he's up there. And then they drew their guns and started saying things I cannot say online, on air, but yelling at them and telling them to get down, or else they would do things with their guns. And so they eventually came down, and the person got off the roof, and actually they jumped onto the hood of the car of our neighbor across the street. Hope that didn't get dented, but jumped on their hood and then on, and then boy, they just tackled them and took them down to the ground and then walked them off. And I just kind of stood there and kind of watched. And as it took, and then the one police officer I had waved at and told him, he looked at me just like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, well, and off they went.
Doing the bro thing.
Yeah, I guess he was just like, like. Anyway, it was quite exciting, and then I guess Miranda found out later they were actually being held for police departments in other states.
Yeah, because they posted online on the Keene City Police Department Facebook page. Because you kind of wonder, all of that for what? Because it still was like, whoa, this big thing, Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, I wonder why they were chasing them. And all they posted on the Keene Police Department Facebook page was that it was a police car chase that had started over in Cleburne, which was about 15 minutes away, and ended up here in Keene, and that 2 suspects were apprehended, and there were no injuries. And then that was it. And I kind of wondered, who were these people or what? And of course, you can go to the Cleburne jail and see who's there and such. And so when I found the one person in particular, I was like, oh, was this the person that jumped down off the roof? And Brett's like, yeah, that's him. Turns out it was actually a girl.
Yeah.
She was a petite little girl, because Brett thought she was just a teenager, possibly.
Yeah, I was a teen guy and everything, but yeah.
Yeah, she just wore her hair short, and So I can imagine that if these guys, the police officers, knew that they were looking for this petite girl, they didn't really even think to look up on the roof.
Mm-mm.
No,
they ran after him, and like I said, had I not waved him down and told him, I probably would have gotten away, because they would already taken off down, except for this one guy. They'd already taken off down the road. So anyway, that was the excitement we had, and I went and told my class, and I was going to tell this exciting story, and they were like, oh, cool. And that was it. So
That was your their only response?
That was their response, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just interesting. I hadn't been that where they ran right past me, and I was like, okay. But so there you go, excitement and Keene.
Yeah, so anyways, it reminded me of the story in 2 Kings 6, where, well, trying to make a long story short, where Elisha and his servant got up one morning, and they were in Dothan, the city of Dothan, and the king of Aram had brought his army with horses and chariots and such, because he wanted to capture Elisha, because Elisha, God had been telling him where King Aram was hiding with his army in order to attack the Israelites when they went by. But then, because Elisha told the king of Israel, they didn't go by that way. And he's like, this is a little suspicious, you servants. Which one of you is against me? Which one of you is for the Israelites? And they're like, oh no, none of us has said Elisha. And so, of course, he showed up in the middle of the night with his army, and when Elisha and his servant looked out, his servant's like, oh, what are we going to do? And Elisha says, well, you know what? Those that are for us, there's more for us than is for them. And so then he prayed that God would open his eyes and he could see them. And then he could see this vast mountain that was covered with this vast army of chariots of fire. And I was like, that's pretty cool. You've got to see the power of that in comparison to, I just looked it up, the chariots back in Bible times were apparently made from wood and maybe some leather somehow or other. And so what's that next to a chariot of fire? So anyways, he didn't see that except by the power of the Holy Spirit, showing him the truth. And so in the story, I'm going to compare Brett to the Holy Spirit, because the police officers weren't looking up. Like I said, they probably weren't, because they knew this was a petite woman. And how was she going to get on somebody's rooftop? And yet she clearly has some skill, because she just jumped right down from the roof on top of the neighbor's Suburban and then down onto the ground. And so anyways, they weren't looking up. And yet Brett, he just, pointed up there and showed them the truth of where she was. And so John 16 says, when the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. And that's what Jesus said. And spiritually, we aren't going to see spiritual truths without the help of the Holy Spirit, who is going to show us the truth, because that's his job, is to lead us and guide us into the truth that God has for us.
Oh, is that it?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to decide if we want to. So basically, in certain situations, we aren't inclined to seek God and his way of doing things. We're a little more inclined to look at how we want to do things. And let's say the police officers, they obviously didn't even stop, like I said, to look at the roof, because they weren't inclined to think that she would be up there. And sometimes we don't think that our answer to our problem or whatever is going on is looking up at Jesus. We're just like, wow, this is the best way to do it, and I'm going to do it my way. So, God has more for us than we can see. And sort of like the news. New every day, and it never runs out.
Well, apparently the cat agrees with you. If you didn't hear that, one of our cats just meowed. Yeah, so that's kind of something to keep in mind, that no matter what life is throwing at us or where we're at, or how overwhelmed we may or may not feel, there's always more, supporting us. There's always more that God has for us that we don't see maybe in the moment. It's always there, even though we can't see it, because God promised to watch over and take care of us all the days of our life. And just like Elisha could see, God's protection and armies, and his servant couldn't, but they were still there. And yeah, so that's always there for us too. All right. Well, like I said, we're going to keep it short so Aspen and Hadassah can get on to their tiramisu, and hopefully it'll be wonderful and delicious, much as today's words were for our souls and spirits. See how I did that? All right. Hope you had a great week. Hope you had a good Sabbath, and thanks for joining.